my name is Tom Jackobs. I've always considered myself to be a wife, a mother, a dietitian, a teacher. Oh, Sioux City was a very interesting city to grow up in. It was large enough that there were a lot of facilities there, but small enough that you didn't feel like you were just a little ant in an anthill. We had a restaurant that was very successful. We played, we practiced our instruments and played together as a family. And we did that before high school and during high school. And I also played tennis. And at that time, there were no girls' teams for anything. So if I wanted to play softball or baseball, I played with my brothers. And as you all know, meaning you, Mr. Tom, when I was born, my mother died. And before she died, she said that her good friends, Geraldine and Lillian O'Boyle, and their mother, should take me and raise me until that time that my dad either had remarried or had someone that could take care of me. So actually, I stayed with Geraldine and Lillian and their mother until I was about 7.5. And I just remember a lot of care. Mother O'Boyle was just such a good teacher. She read to me and then she taught me to read. And she taught me some fine points of art. And I never thought of her as an artist, but she showed me how to draw a lot of different objects, animals, houses. And she also taught me needlework, like embroidery and how to sew and use the treadle sewing machine, which I found really fascinating. Geraldine and Lillian worked as nurses at St. Joseph Mercy Hospital, and they would be considered probably the best nurses ever. I guess one other thing I remember too, during that time was the polio epidemic, and that was a very scary, scary thing. So, well, it wasn't the epidemic. The epidemic happened in 1950, but polio was well known. And Geraldine and Lillian took care of children who had polio and were in the iron lung. And I just always thought that was so sad and just so hard to do. Oh, well then Geraldine and Lillian's mother passed away, and so at that time my dad decided that I should move back into the house with my older brother and 5 younger half-brothers and sisters. And so that's what happened then, and it was at that time then that we were all started with music and eventually formed the Caled Family Orchestra. My dad was good looking, always dressed well. I never saw him in anything but a long sleeve white shirt. Never wore sports shirts, never wore short sleeve shirts, maybe once or twice. Always long sleeve, white shirts, starched, and dress slacks. And being well groomed and as a businessman, that was very important. And also the business was very important. He wanted to be successful, the restaurant, and he always was looking for ways of improving the restaurant. Consequently, we had several additions to the restaurant to make it to make the restaurant more competitive. Probably the funniest thing that ever happened is, or it was really a good thing, a restaurant went up across the street from our restaurant, and the owner of that restaurant had a son that was in my class at school. And one day the kid came to school and he told me that his parents owned a restaurant across the street from our restaurant and they were going to run us out of business. And he just said that just nonchalantly, so I gathered he had heard that said at home. Anyway, I went home and told my dad that they think they're going to run us out of business. And then Dad said a few words in Arabic, which we will not repeat here. And then it was just a short time, less than a year probably, then that restaurant went out of business. So, he wanted to make the American dream come true for him, and it did. And above all, he had basically an 8th grade education, but he was fluent in both Arabic and English. And we were all to work at the restaurant. And the reason was that we were to work, make money, and save it for college. And there was just no other question of stopping after high school or doing anything but going to college. So that was, and then he was very glad that we were all doing music, because he liked music.